And go ahead, David.
Yeah, sure. So good morning. Thanks for having me on today. Good to see you all virtually. I know last time it was in person. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get back to that. But good to see you anyways. So I'm here to talk about the Medicare Part B reimbursement process. So this is an annual process that takes place every spring with the Office of Retirement Services, and it's only for police and fire retirees. So if you talk to your federated friends, they're not eligible. So it's only police and fire. And the letters for the reimbursement, so the application for reimbursement did go out and should be arriving at your houses soon, if not already. And it's a 2-page form. The form is relatively short, but the process itself is a little bit complicated. So I understand if there's questions or confusion about it. So every year, you're eligible, depending on which healthcare plan you fall under, you're eligible to reimburse for part of the Medicare Part B premiums you paid the previous year. So we're in 2022, and this reimbursement process is for your 2021 payments that you may have issued to Social Security. So the letter you received gives you details about who's eligible. So you, and if you have a dependent spouse who's also Medicare age, your dependent spouse is also listed on the letter as being eligible for reimbursement. So both the common question we get is, why is my spouse listed? Both are eligible to be reimbursed for their individual Medicare Part B reimbursement payments. So that's the first thing. If you see your spouse on the letter, that's the reason. It's because they're Medicare eligible and they're on your plan. So that's the letter itself. This year, as opposed to previous years, the amount of retirees eligible for reimbursement has tripled. So last year, meaning for 2020 payments, only 400 or so police and fire retirees were in healthcare plans that were eligible for reimbursement. This year, meaning for 2021 reimbursement, the amount of plans that have been made eligible for reimbursement has tripled. So around 1,200 or so police and fire retirees are going to get this letter. Which is probably why there's more questions this year and a little bit of confusion, because you're not familiar with this process, and maybe this is the first time you've gotten this letter. So don't worry, a lot of people are confused about what they need to do. The reason you're eligible this year as opposed to previous years is the rates that Anthem and Kaiser charges the city of San Jose, meaning Office of Retirement Services, the retirement fund. The rates they charge us change every year. Now, in 2021, the rates for the Medicare plans for Anthem and Kaiser went down. So Anthem and Kaiser charged the city of San Jose less in 2021 than in 2020. You pay the same. You pay $0 most likely for your particular plan. But the city subsidy for your plan, the amount that Anthem and Kaiser charge the city went down. And for that reason, there is an excess in funding that the city can reimburse to you on your behalf for your Medicare Part B payments. So bottom line is, if you got a letter this year, you're eligible for reimbursement. So there's 1,200 of you out there who got the letter, and most Medicare plans are eligible this year. If you didn't get a letter and you're wondering why, you're not in one of the plans that has a reimbursement amount. And if you have any questions about that, you can refer to the rate sheets for 2021, which are on our website, and see that your plan doesn't have a reimbursement amount. The bottom line is, if you got the letter, you're eligible for reimbursement. Now, the trickier part is how to fill out the application itself. So it's a 2-page letter you got. The second page is where you actually fill out information. So you put first of all, you're going to need to sign it. And the other thing is, you're going to put how much you paid in Medicare Part B premiums the previous year. So all 12 months added together, how much did you pay for Medicare Part B? And so the common question is, I don't know. How do I know how much I paid? There's a few ways. One is annually, you may receive a tax document from Social Security called a 1099, SSA 1099. Not all retirees receive this form, but this form does get issued. That's a good way to see how much you paid. And also, it's the best way to submit to our office verification of payment. So that's one of the ways. The other way is you might, yeah, go ahead.
That's from Social Security, correct?
That's correct.
And not all members get Social Security.
Yeah, from my understanding, if you do not earn Social Security, you do not get issued this 1099. So I think a lot of you may not get this form. But if you do get it, that's the easiest and best way to verify how much you paid and also to turn into our office verification proof. The other way, which you've probably seen, is you get Medicare premium bills every month called a CMS 500 is the coding they use. And it'll say something like, hey, you paid $200 for this month for Medicare. So that's another way to see how much you paid for Medicare Part B. And another way to submit proof of your payment is if you have those still, or you can print those out. You don't need all 12 months, just as many months as you can get together to verify that you had been making payments for 12 months. And so bottom line is you're going to list your total amount you paid for Medicare Part B on that application and sign it. And then once our office receives it, along with the verification of payments, which again could be that 1099 form, your monthly Medicare bills, a letter from Social Security saying this is how much you're going to pay or how much you've paid. Or if you can't find any of that, bank statements, credit card statements that say Medicare payment. That obviously is the most tedious way to provide verification and maybe the most difficult. So that's why on your application, it lists different ways of providing verification in the list in order of what is easiest. So 1099 is easiest, second easiest is your Medicare bills, third is a letter from Medicare, fourth is bank statements. So hopefully you don't have to provide bank statements because obviously those are hard to pull up and gather for 12 months.
David?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so you know, I had a member tell me that they had to go through and get a letter. It took them over 3 months to get the letter. So the due date for it to you, to the department, had already passed by the time they got the letter. So that is really not a good way to go, just in the fact that it takes 2-3 months to get the letter from them, from Medicare. Just trying to advise you of that.
Thank you. And yeah, that's a good point. So if you're not able to get your verification in time, I would recommend you submit the application with a note or any sort of documentation that says, hey, I'm still gathering my verification. So just make sure you get the application in prior to April 1st, even if you're waiting for that letter, because we'll take that into consideration and accept it and issue the payments after we get the verification. So,
question: how do I go about getting a duplicate of the letter that you said that was sent? I received a letter, but I only got one page and nothing about the application.
Oh, okay. Did you get was there a backside of the letter, page 2?
I don't believe so, no.
Oh, okay. In that case, we can issue you a revised letter. So what's your name?
Jim McMahon, MC, M-A-H-O-N. I went by James.
Okay. Yeah, so we can have that issued to you. I'll reach out to you after this meeting.
That'd be excellent. Thank you very much.
Sure.
David, I have a couple of questions. Do you want to take questions now or wait till the end, or as these topics come up?
So that's it in terms of my introduction to the process. So yeah, feel free to ask questions.
Okay, about the bank statements and the copies of canceled check in lieu of the bill, but on your letter here, it says, even though if you send those in, you still need a copy of the Medicare bill. and that's why I think maybe confuses people is like, why would you have to send both when all I really have to do is send in the Medicare bill?
Right. So the best way to verify is to also include the Medicare bill. However, if your bank statements are clear that it was made to Medicare, then we'll accept that, because what we often get is a bank statement that it's hard to tell that the payment was for Medicare. So as you can imagine, if you look at your Chase credit card bill, it can be hard to decipher what went to what. So that's the reason we ask for that. But if you turn in bank statements that are clearly indicating that it was a payment to Medicare, we'll accept that.
Thank you.
I have a
Merrill,
question.
Go ahead, Merrill.
I have on my check stubs, the amount I get per month. Do you have to send a copy of each month of the check stub to verify it for the total amount?
Not every month, as long as you provide just a couple, just 2 or 3, however many, that will be sufficient. So you don't need to turn in all 12.
At the end of the year, you get the statement that for 12 months, it shows it on there, how much you get per month. And then you multiply by 12 and send that amount in.
Yeah, that would serve as verification. Any sort of annual statement, that would work as well.
Okay, David, I have a few more questions here, and these questions, because I'm on a Facebook group, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I just want to ask these questions, even though I know the answers to, but I just want to hear it from you. Okay.
Yep.
There's information out there saying, well, if you live out of the state of California, you're not eligible.
That's incorrect. You are eligible.
Okay, and then the 2021 medical rates, I know they were on the website earlier this year when we got a letter saying that. I just went on the website today, and the 2021 medical benefits sheets are not on there.
Yeah, we're gonna get those. I noticed that today too.
Oh, okay, so that is going up. Okay, thank you.
It just happened yesterday. We're gonna get those posted back.
Okay, thanks. And also on that far right column, if it says, for example, I think for Kaiser is $191. So you're going to get 191 if you paid Medicare throughout the whole year. You're going to get 191 times 12. Correct?
That's the maximum reimbursable. So if you, for instance, had paid $100 and your verification, your statement, say $100, will issue to you $100. But if your statements say $250, we'll issue you that amount you referenced. So that amount is the maximum.
Got it. Understood. All right. I understand that. Can you use? So getting back to Jim McMahon's point, you can't go on to your the retirement website under your account and retrieve that letter.
Yeah, if you use the Member Direct, that letter is also available on your account.
Oh, okay. So you can get on there. Okay.
Yeah. But we know not everybody uses that. So
oh, okay.
If you need a new one issued, you can reach out to our office.
David, this is Jim Spence. One of the questions I think that everybody has is if they send in the documentation, we really have never gotten anything in return that says you're okay or it went through or whatever. And so people that are new to doing this process, how are they going to find out, in fact, that the documentation they presented to you was in fact acceptable before the actual due date of the whole process?
Okay, yeah, good question. So first of all, if it was not acceptable, we will reach out to you and try to retrieve the better verification. We generally don't send confirmations that we received your application. We'll look into it for this year potentially, since there's such a large population out there as compared to previous years. But yeah, we'll look into that. But rest assured, if it's not sufficient documentation, we'll reach out to you. We won't just reject it. So don't worry. As long as you've submitted the application, we'll reach out to you. And then in terms of when it gets processed, so we process these in April, May, June, and into July. So we process them in the order received. But rest assured, it'll be included in one of your pension payments as a one-time payment.
I have
And
a question.
your office is still closed, correct? So you can't drop it off at the office?
So yes, you can drop it off. If you do go, you can just call our main line when you get to the door and they'll open it for you. But it is, yeah, you still have to go to the door and call.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
If I was on Medicare for only part of the year, am I eligible for how many months I paid?
Yeah, so you'll get
Okay.
a payment for all the months that you paid into it.
Okay.
Well, I have a question also. I normally get the Social Security 1099, and they say they're mailed out in January, but I haven't gotten one yet. I have the letter that they sent back in November of 2020 that says this is what you're going to get for the next year. Is that legit for documentation?
Yes, yeah, that would be acceptable. In fact, in your letter, it's the third bullet point down is that letter. Is the one you can submit.
Any other questions for David? Michael, did that help you out?
Yes.
Excellent. Before I go, there's
I
one
still have
other.
questions for you, David.
Okay. Yeah.
Just in Medicare in general.
Yes.
I turned 65 this year coming up, in 2022, at the end of October. So 3-4 months out, I need to go through the process, correct?
Yes.
So I do receive Social Security, so I have to go through them first and get on Medicare. I need Part B, C, D, or E if I want to, correct? But I have to add Part B, correct?
Yeah. As long as you started with the city prior to 1986, you're only required to enroll in Part B as in boy.
Okay,
If you started with the city after 1986, then you have to enroll in Part A as in apple and B as in boy. Do not enroll in Part C nor Part D as in David.
is Part A the one that the city's covering for us if you were hired before 86?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what is C and D?
C, I can't recall which one that is. D is prescription coverage, and that's covered under your City of San Jose healthcare plan. So you do not want to enroll in D because it's already part of your package of health benefits with the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, while we're on that, with the health benefits on the city, when you become Medicare eligible, does that copay and medicinal copay change also?
So there are different copays for when you are Medicare age as compared to prior to that. I don't know the exact number. It'll be comparable to
Okay.
pre 65.
Okay,
There can be some slight changes though. What is good though is that you pay, as long as it's member only or member plus spouse and you're both Medicare, your City of San Jose contribution will be $0 per month.
I'll be a split plan because she's younger than me, so
Okay.
I'll look that up at that time. But thank you for the information. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And real quick, last thing on Medicare in general, there's a misunderstanding out there that even that say you don't earn Social Security, which a lot of retirees do not because they had started with the city when they were so young. Even if you don't earn Social Security, you're still eligible for Medicare Part B as in boy. So there has been some misunderstanding in the past where members have said, hey, I don't earn Social Security, therefore I'm not eligible for Medicare. That is not true. You are eligible for Medicare and in fact are required to enroll in Medicare Part B as in boy at 65. So if you talk to your friends or whomever and they're thinking about whether or not to do Medicare at 65, it's required. So just a heads up, if if you want to spread the word, when you're 65, you have no choice but to enroll in Part B as a boy.
I have a question for you on that exact subject. What if you're still working at 65, not in the fire service, not in PD, but you're still working, you're collecting a paycheck full time? Is that requirement still that you're supposed to apply at 65?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, answer is yes. If you want to stay on the City of San Jose's retiree health plan, even though you're still employed somewhere else, you do need to enroll in Medicare. Medicare may say to you, why are you enrolling in Medicare? You're still employed. Medicare doesn't know about your other health insurance that you have. So in their database, they think you're not retired, actively employed, have health insurance through your active employment. What they don't know and what they won't tell you is, oh, you have a retiree health plan that requires Medicare. So that's sometimes Social Security provides bad information to you if you're currently working at 65, which we don't have too many for police and fire, but it does happen.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, David?
No, that's it. Feel free to reach out to us, our main line, 794-1000. If you have any questions about this process or anything in general, but just want to thank you for the time today. And just want to wish you guys a happy new year and good health.
Before you go, David, I have one question,
Sure.
real quick one. I've been in Medicare for a couple of months now, and we paid our Medicare Part B premium back in December for the first quarter. I just got a letter in the mail yesterday from Medicare saying that I had to pay my IRMA. Is that based on that? Apparently, it looks like it's based on income. Is that correct? Because it's for Part D.
Yeah. So the amount you pay for Medicare varies depending on your income. So it's not going to be a uniform payment for everybody. So if you're whatever income level you're in, Social Security may change your rate partway through the year. I'm not familiar with IRMA, but I have a feeling that sounds like it's something related to income.
It is related to income. I get fancy letters from them. Guy, if you make money beyond a certain amount, there are different levels, just like for taxes. And the more you make, the greater the fee is. And they're always 2 years behind. So as an example, last year they decided I owed them more than a single month's with Social Security. So they decided I didn't need my Social Security check that month. And the government is very good about collecting right away. So if you want to make sure you look at those things, because if they're not collecting enough, they will send you a note saying, by the way, you owe us money, and they take it directly out of your next Social Security check. And if you're not taking your Social Security yet, they just send you a bill for the amount, and they expect you to pay it within 10 days. Your government at work.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate the info. Thank you,
worries.
David.
Okay, you're welcome. So I'm going to take off, Ray. So thank you very much.
Hold on for just a second. Any other questions for Mr.
yeah.
Lisenby?
I look forward to hearing from you, David. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll reach out.
And thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, David. Great questions, great answers.
Okay, you're welcome. And thank you. Take care.
You have a good day.
You too.